Welcome back. This is the social listening segment here on the BDTV Breakfast Show. This is where we get to drag some of the stories driving conversations across social media in Nigeria. My name is Elizabeth Musa, and here with me in the studio is
Onyeka Valentine.
Right, we're beginning with fresh concerns around a familiar name, which is CBEX. Now, weeks after vanishing with millions in investors' funds, the digital investment platform has reappeared, and it's now asking victims to pay an additional $200 to access their accounts. Now, according to several investors, account balances have been restored on the CBEX platform, but in order to withdraw, they're being asked to pay a reactivation fee of $200 for those with over $1,000 invested and $100 for smaller accounts. Many are calling this a second attempt at fraud, which is following CBEX's abrupt shutdown in April, which was just about 2 months ago, which saw its Ibadan office being looted and Telegram groups silenced. Now, the EFCC has arrested key suspects and is still tracing funds to multiple countries. It's a painful reminder of the risk facing everyday Nigerians. Now, Valentine, this development raises serious questions. Questions like, is this an attempted comeback, or is this just another phase in a well-coordinated scam?
They say sometimes you will have to call a spade a spade. And this way we'll get the whole property dog. And in this case, in digging that hole, we should be careful that, it's not a case of we throwing, stones in glass houses that we live in. CBEX, as the case may be, didn't just come to this country or started without some form of, due process one way or the other. Some people at some particular point in the government would have said, these guys are good to go from the beginning. And so if eventually they were now, termed a fraud Ponzi scheme, whatever, they had an issue and then they did a comeback. So I want to start from the angle of the government. There is something that is not correct. This is money we're talking about. So if they were found wanting before, how come so soon and so quick they've been exonerated? So soon and so quick, we didn't see anybody, in the witness box in court or something so soon and so quick. Meanwhile, when other individuals spray money or do some certain things that EFCC don't like, they're there 2 months, 3 months. It keeps dragging all through. In this case, the comeback is so soon.
Okay.
And if history has taught us anything, which is if something gives you a warning, the first time you don't take it.
Right.
Okay? If it happens to you again, then I will blame you. So I think that, look, if we don't face this thing head on and call these people to book, have it, if possible, an open conversation, put them in the middle, just the way we have senatorial meeting, right? At the Senate, put them in the middle and say, look, the hard-working Nigerians, they have their money, they have the money in your whatever it is, in your care, and whatever it is that you do with this whole Ponzi scheme, whatever it is. The truth of the matter is, we want you to explain to us clearly that Nigerians understand what happened the first time, and after that, if in one way or the other they were dragged to court, go and answer your court case, if at all they were dragged to court. If not, how come they weren't even, someone in court for something or the other? It was a big story, right? Some people almost had heart attack. Other people almost, killed themselves based on, frustration and depression. And so you're coming back as if all that didn't matter. So you're not even respecting the feelings of Nigerians. So you're not even acting. It's even worse now. Pay some money and get reactivated or come back into the scheme, isn't it so?
But I think at this point, just to come in here, I think at this point it's really a case of you I'm going to a house that there's a dog, it's a case of, do I want to go or not go? No one is forcing me. The person did not say you must come in. So when I'm going to my friend's house and they have dogs, do you have dog in your house? I don't like dogs, so it's for me to decide, okay, am I going to brace it and still go there, back when I was young,
and
or
eat
say
free food in the house.
Look, I love you so much, please let's continue the conversation online, that kind of thing. So CBEX That's what I'm seeing it as. You see all the signs. You've seen the warning signs. You've seen the things that have happened. There's benefit of hindsight. There are lessons learned already. So if you decide, really, I think that it's not up to CBEX. It's not. I'm not going to fault CBEX. I'm going to fault the people that will fall into another problem.
So there is like a government regulatory body that looks into these things, right? Why are we not seeing them champion the fact that these guys want to do a comeback?
Are they really doing their jobs?
That's my point. So they are supposed to be the ones saying, wait a minute, we'll look into this thing again, then decide whether you guys are worthy to be trusted by Nigerians or not. If they just simply do a comeback, stage a comeback, and they continue as business as usual, which means that body that's responsible to checkmate these things, right, have not only failed, but it should be scrapped. Why pay them salary? Because they are the gatekeepers. They are the ones that would secure Nigerians, funds to say, look, we can trust these guys now. And then they are staging a comeback. We didn't see like a press conference. It's important. Have a press conference saying, you know what, we've gone through this hurdle, gone through that hurdle, we've answered different cases in different areas. We even have representatives of EFCC here to explain to you people.
Well, did they put out a press release?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So if there was a press release, this will enable Nigerians to trust them even more. Don't forget, you're dealing with people who are very emotional.
Right.
And very religious at that.
Right. But let's see some of the reactions of these Nigerians we're talking about now. They probably have loads and loads of opinion. But I'm interested in seeing what people are saying on social media. Now, Mupi says, Nigerians will fall for anything.
There we go.
I know some people have paid the $200 again. I mean, we say we don't have money, but people have money for what they think is important. Ochichi says, CBEX, updates way past updates. A pattern that is common among scammers. You already lost money to them, but for you to get your money back, you will have to lose more money to them. Let's see if we have more reactions on social media. George McBadger says, I just deposited $200 and still have not been able to access my previous fund. George, you need, I don't know what to say. Let's see more reactions. Das says, anyone that goes back in and pays that $200 deserved to be ripped off. I completely agree with that, because if whatever you see, like I used that dog illustration, it's like you might not be beaten, right? But you might be beaten just in case. Do you understand? So whatever it is, you've chosen to go into it. Really, it's all up to you. They say
once beaten, what?
Twice shy.
But in this case now, again, see, so I put it this way. You are saying CBEX might not be, held responsible if anything happens again. Maybe because the people are actually going to do this blindly. I'm saying the government is to come out and say, look, you know what? Halt any comeback whatsoever. Right?
That position of the government just, making
exactly, because they are the gatekeepers. They are the regulators that we're looking up to. EFCC, have you done your due diligence properly? Yes, we have exposed them initially, but what is the follow-up story? So you accuse somebody of a particular crime, so the person now undergoes what we call social media judgment and all that stuff. Are we actually seeing someone going to jail because a crime was really committed? In fact, was a crime really committed in such a way that it was now, it was lodged in court? All these things, those processes is what makes the system credible. So we will not have confidence now, say, you know what, that $200 they're talking about, because we've seen this level of progress, we've seen this level of commitment by the government and those regulatory bodies who are responsible to keep those gates for us. Let us now look at that and ask, okay, people, do we agree to go into this thing? Don't hold us to account. Let me tell you, when somebody who is very hungry comes to your door, do you think you worry about the rain? Do you think you worry about the sun? You don't even worry about if you're going to put poison in the food. All what will be in the person's mind is just eat and sustain the body. So at that time, the person is vulnerable. Nigerians are vulnerable because of the situation and the economy.
I hear you there.
Exactly. So the only way we can now be able to now say, wait a minute, look again, is if we have those regulatory bodies working on our behalf to say, okay, we've done everything for you guys. Now, let us now see if this comeback is possible. Because the CBEX guys, they run, it's a business they run. And so we don't want a case where we chase away foreign investors. Because with them being around, they will create jobs. But in doing that, we must make sure that things are done properly. And Nigerians are not what? Ripped up at the end of the day. Right. And they'll now say, oh, Nigerians, you don't learn from history, do you?
Right. But, we've spoken about money, finance, Ponzi schemes. Let's talk about politics now. Right. Former Ekiti State Governor has publicly expressed support for President Bola Tinubu's economic reforms, describing them as necessary, even if difficult. Now, he spoke about this after a private visit to the president in Lagos State, where Fayose said meaningful progress can't happen overnight. He acknowledged the economic hardship Nigerians are facing, but urged citizens to be patient with the reform process. He described President Tinubu's approach as bold and commended him for making tough decisions aimed at long-term stability. Now, I don't know if this is a sign of growing national unity or is simply political positioning at a difficult time. I don't know. I will hear your thought, but let's see some of the reactions on social media. We need to know, is this a sign of growing national unity? Is this simply political positioning? But really, what are people saying about this story? But the thing about us Nigerians, we always have something to say. We're keypad warriors. Umaru says, why bring in policies that kill masses on daily basis and bring in money to the leaders? 2 years in office is not overnight, Oga, if the government is serious. So this person is saying, you know what, you can't tell me nothing. There's nothing like 2 years is overnight. Ikidero says, Baba, they find appointment. Yeah, speaking about political positioning and all of that. More reactions to this story on social media. I don't think we have more reactions. But Valentine, in your opinion, is this a sign of, growing national unity from, Ayodele Fayose's side, or is this some sort of political positioning? Okay,
so let us approach this thing as the people who speak on behalf of the public, and that's what we do, isn't it so, as broadcasters. So look at this. In an event where we say an eye for an eye can make the whole city, the whole village go blind, I think to prevent that, I think we should give him a listening ear. That's one. And now, I'm not making a case for Fayose. I'm just saying in general. We already understand how this politics and this whole political game goes. No permanent friend, no permanent enemy, only what?
Permanent interest.
And so, if that be the case, Nigerians could have obviously anticipated this, that one way or the other, he will pay the CNC, the Commander-in-Chief, a visit. Now, whether that visit has something else they want to discuss, that's not our business. The fact that we now see him sitting with Oga, we now know, okay, something is going on.
Yes.
Whether it's going to go and beg for position or going to say, look, Oga, I want to explain to you from the angle where we stand. Things are not going well. We don't know what the context of that meeting is. But there is a picture. I know what to say. Pictures do what?
Tell 1,000 stories. Yeah.
And so, in this case, if we did those 1,000 stories, let us try and just tell one or two stories.
Let's try to depict one or two.
What it would really mean. So I don't want my opinion to
override it.
But then again, let's just say this. If he truly has gone there to ask for position, wow. So internet never forgives and never forgets. Nigerians will trail him and will bring out everything that he has said, right, against the government.
But this is not the first time we'll see things like this. One thing I always say about people that are in positions, of authority, people that are in the public eye, they will constantly be under public scrutiny. So you have to develop the capacity to accept the good and the bad. The days they're commending you, thumbs up. The days they will mob you, accept it. It comes with it. You accept the rain and the sun.
And President Tinubu is someone who is matured in this game. He understands when somebody is trying to fan him or when someone really means business.
He does, actually.
He knows the game of politics. I can confidently say that he's the master of it.
That's why it's called the Jagabang.
Exactly. So as Jagabang as he is, you don't expect that he will just sit back, smile, and say, "Oh, Fayose has finally come," and hoping that he will get forgiven, as the case may be. He will understand that this guy needs something.
But the thing with him is, sorry to continue. The thing with President Bola Tinubu is he might give you what you want. So far, in that moment, you're playing but it's not oblivious to the fact
of what he has said in the past.
Yes.
And the fact
that you might just be playing, but it might give you what that thing it is that you want. You might think that, because at that point, if he thinks that, oh, it's going to also benefit him, because everything that President Bola Tinubu does is also thinking about how it might benefit. So it might give it to you, but it doesn't mean that he's a fool in that moment. And just like you said, that's why he's the king of, you know,
of the political game.
Yes, of the game.
He knows where to play, where to hold on to the king, and then drop the pawn in front of you, so that you go for the pawn, he comes and tells you checkmate. You know.
But whatever the case is, though, whatever the case is, I think what's more important for us is to hold them to account. I mean, 2 years is not a little time for us to be fanning and saying, no, we need to see tangible results.
And speaking about results, look, it cuts across board. When something is running back to back, it looks like status quo, as if, look, it's not going to change. Then you ask questions and say, look, I understand, maybe we're friends, right? Maybe we're colleagues when it has to do with politics, but like politicians will say, look, when it comes to making sure the people are heard and what you say you do, we have to oppose you. This is why they have opposing parties. We don't want a single party system in Nigeria. It's a multi-party system, right? So if there is a listening ear from the president when people like that come, fire or she comes, I think it's a good thing, but make it public now. This guy's not coming to see me behind closed doors, in front. So what you want to say it in front. Do it Donald Trump style.
Right.
You know, yeah. Now you're here. Let me now show you some videos of somebody saying, kill the boy. Take a look at it. Something like that, you know. But then again, I think it's a good gesture. After all, look, the road to peace and tranquility doesn't come without sometimes, you know, punches and all that stuff. But if at the end of the day, we can have peace, we can have, you know, security is guaranteed, roads, everything is fine. We don't really care who goes to shake whose hand or who goes to say this or that. That's just mere talk. 7-point agenda: security, right? Education, healthcare, okay? The economy, things that will make Nigerians forget about your parlor discussion. Because they can come out at night, the street light, the roads are okay. My business, your business, our businesses as entrepreneurs, okay, flowing well, and then we're not drowning the nation in debt. Saying, we are paying now, oh, tomorrow we're borrowing again. Some of the kind of things we want to hear. So whether or not it's going to pay a visit, it's not really, you know, it's inconsequential, like they say. But in 1,000 stories, we can tell 2 of that picture.
Yeah, and you've told 2. But let's move on now. We're still in the political space, but this time on a quite sad note. Now, Jesutega Onokpasa, which is a well-known APC chieftain, a lawyer and political commentator, has passed away. Now, this news was confirmed on Tuesday by party ally Okeze Atani via social media, and the cause of the death has not yet been disclosed. Now, Onokpasa was a familiar face on political panels and television debates, known for his strong defense of President Bola Tinubu and the APC. He also served on the Publicity Committee of the 2023 APC Presidential Campaign Council. However, in a surprising turn, he recently withdrew his support for President Tinubu ahead of the 2027 elections, where he cited worsening insecurity, economic hardship, and concerns about party loyalty. A sudden passing has triggered a wave of tributes and controversy from across the social media space, and it's quite disheartening to learn about his death. It's always disheartening to, you know, hear news of death, and it's quite a sad way for us to end the social listening today. But let's see some of the reactions on social media that we've been getting about his passing. But may his soul rest in peace, and may God grant the family the fortitude to bear the loss at this time. Now, Ifeanyi says a call has been made on his behalf since April 27, 2025 on a critical health issue. Even when he appeared last on Arise Television, he looked sick. May Almighty God grant him eternal rest. There's a video of him that was actually circulating about, you know, the people citing, you know, the fact that he was looking unhealthy. Now, I am Samaiki says it's disheartening to hear comments like "Onga don't kill him." That's terrible to say.
Insensitive.
I mean, very terrible to say. Now, it says the family is grieving. Children have lost their father, and a woman also has lost her husband. Yet some people choose mockery over empathy, all because of political differences. That's very, insensitive. I think we need to learn how to when to draw the line between our political ideologies, religious ideologies, and just be human first.
So,
We're not done. Let's say some more reactions. Erickson is saying, "May the Lord grant him rest. May He also grant the family the fortitude to cope with the loss." He spoke like a repentant the last time he was on the rise. The man spoke very bitterly that day, but many observed all was not well with him health-wise. Let's see if we will have more reactions. CT says he spoke the truth before he died. May he rest in peace. People are talking about the fact that he actually, came on in his last outing on media. He was actually saying the truth. Sometimes you never really know when you're nearing your end, and so many times you just find yourself tilting to the truth and just the right things. Franklin says Happy was able to show courage by telling the truth in his last minute, not minding the role he played in 2023. May he rest in peace.
Again, this kind of stories should spark and uproot the core essence of anyone who's a human being. Now, having said what I said, again, fingers need to be pointed to this thing we call social media. I don't think we have proper statistics of people who have committed suicide because of social media criticism. Do you understand what the loss of a loved one is? For someone who has never lost someone who they really, really love, they won't understand. I'm coming from a place of experience, place of pain, saying if you're dealing with grief and then unfortunately the person that passed on is someone who's in the public space, any sane person should know it's not the time to throw any dart at that person or the family.
Absolutely.
Any sane person. Look, even the
no matter what.
Yes, even there's what they call respect for the dead. And this is a journey that everyone will go through. Look, I keep on saying this. We are never getting out of this life alive anyway. And so once you understand that, you realize that we came with nothing, we're living with nothing. We are only who we are based on society that we grew up in, based on the ideologies that were taught in university or secondary school or whatever it is, based on people we had around us. So we either tend to look up to such people or not. So our mannerism and who we are is forced from those experiences. So when you become an adult, what happens is that you have your own perspective, your own perception, your own opinion. I mean, judging him from his own opinion when he was alive is so insensitive. He was a politician. It's sad to use such word now. I almost going to say is, but now it's late now. So he was a politician. And as a political actor in the game, sometimes to get your position to work, you have to say some certain things. And whoever it is that is watching or listening on social media, those who don't understand how politics run or nation building or leadership will think this is personal. No, it's not personal. He was defending some certain things. Now, I'm not making a case for him, but I'll make a case for him. Again, I'm being on the fence here. Having said so, I don't think it's right for anyone, whosoever it is, whether even his enemy, to now say, oh, because he used to speak this way or that way, had a tone in his voice as a politician when he was alive, so whatever it is, and no, be sensitive. If not for him that can't feel anything now, what about the family? The family who are also on social media. What
innocent.
About them too? Innocent. And so that could create a lot of trauma for them. We don't even know the nature of the person. No death is easy. But
no matter what.
But some experiences are so traumatic, especially for those who are left behind. So I think those people who are busy saying, I'll call it, lack of a better term, crap on social media, should desist from it and don't even go any further. And then again, I agree with the first what's it called again? Comment there. I almost want to say tweet. I remember that Twitter doesn't exist anymore.
No, but there's still tweets. You can't take that away.
So the first person actually spoke my mind, saying very insensitive of people who are busy saying, this or that. Don't judge the man by his work. Judge him by his calling. I keep telling people that because sometimes your work, right, might be influenced by society, influenced by the community. Look, a good example was 2 days ago when we took the story of Pastor Paul, right, where they said he pulled out an object, right? Now, let's be honest. If he wasn't a pastor, but a businessman, which obviously he is, are you saying that if we're allowed to carry firearm to protect ourselves. Are you saying that you shouldn't have a firearm? What if he has been attacked before? I've been attacked before in traffic, so I know what I'm talking about. If I had my way, I could have said, look, I protect myself. But now, in bringing that in, what I'm trying to say is that, look, give and take. Don't be quick to judge anybody, especially when the person has passed on, like Onokpasa, for instance. Okay? I see people on social media saying a lot of things. I'm saying no. Respect the dead. Respect the family of those who are grieving. Okay? And there's something to learn from this, which is, yes, we know your legacy is told by those who are around when you leave, which obviously all of us will leave one day. But more importantly, it is how you lived your life that matters. Now, this is on the flip side now. Okay? At the same time, look at likes of Abacha. As much as, oh, Abacha stole money, did this, did that, did that, did that. Let's be honest. The country wasn't as bad as it is today. I leave it at that. Onokpasa, may so rest in peace. May so rest in peace.
That's where we bring it to. We close the curtain today on social listening. Or it was really, it was a quite an interesting one. We went from talking about the CBEX and their planned comeback, and then we also spoke about Onokpasa's passing.
Spoke about Fayoshe's visit.
Yeah, Fayoshe's visit, but we ended on Onokpasa's passing. But yeah, those were the stories this morning on social listening. Thank you. No, it's just a sad way to end social listening today, but we couldn't just pass away that story. But rest in peace to the deceased and comfort to the loved ones. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Thank you for joining us this morning on Social Listening.